Alrighty, Doc here from North America. It is Tuesday, and let's see, there it is. There's the Swiss. You can see the Swiss is moving up. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Stock markets are acting firm. Dollar is gaining against the Swiss. What else can we talk about? I believe oil markets are. Where are the oil markets? Last I saw that they were down. Gold's down a little bit. Nothing major. There's negotiations going on. We know the whole world is twisting and turning with this situation in Ukraine, and so we're waiting to see, what the next shoe to drop, I guess you could say. That's pretty much what it feels like half the time. Is like, what will they do next? And so, and there we go. Let's get it up on J4X too at the right time. Right there. And you can see there's Swiss moving up. And let me just check out. Yeah, oil is, let's see, U.S. bonds are heading down. What else we got going on here that's, the century mark in the back month is under 100 now, which is nice. It's trading at 98. So anything that would bring some peace to the world is always a positive thing as far as I'm concerned. It's always nicer to have the markets dealing with the markets and not dealing with other geopolitical situations. But that's what the world we have. That's the world we're in, and that's the way it usually rolls. Is that not everybody is nice, not everybody is smart, not everybody is stupid. It just goes on and on and on. Basically, is that life is always disruptive, and we as traders, that's the proactive side of it nowadays. Whereas when we were young, it was reactive. We had to react to all these things. Now it's proactive. No one's rushing in and trying to buy 1,000 contracts from me on anything, so we're not seeing that go on anymore. What else can we say about the start of Tuesday? Well, we shall see. But we can see here when we go into the quant, and that's what we do. We look at the quants and follow the markets through their mathematical configurations. We see that the dollar is going up in value, and we see oil is going down in value, and so we'll see where the rest of the pairs trades are trading. All right, you can see here the white line on J4X moving up. What else can we say about that? More than anything else is that two green daily bars. The Hinky ASCIIs are green for 2 days in a row. You can see over here, looking at the Chicago Quant, you can see same situation. Whoop, didn't mean to do that. We got two green dots, 3 days in a row, green dots, and one red, telling us that we're going to get a little volatility. And sure enough, they have used the top of the range as a support. And as time goes on, we will establish a whole new range probably, related to the old range, but it'll probably be expanded because we have pretty confident talking heads on all the networks that we're going to see half-point increases for 3 or 4 months, not 3 or 4 months, 3 or 4 Fed meetings. So in other words, a Fed meeting is every 6 weeks. Here we are in March. They went up a quarter point last time. At the end of April, we'll probably see another half increase. Then I guess it would be April and May. Then probably June, we'll see another half increase. And then going into July, end of July, we'll probably see another half. And then going into September, another half. And then into October of November, another half. Maybe it'll drive them up to about 3 1/4 or 3 1/2. And then the Fed can actually, say, hey, look, we are being adults in the room. We are being responsible, and we are raising rates, and we're fighting inflation. So that to me looks like why we'll see a change of the range, and that's how it'll all play out, I would assume. Now, let's see, where are we at from there? Let's minimize that. I want to check the chat line, see if anybody is asking any questions this morning. Let's see, trading, is it? Yeah, there it is. There we go. And it's opening up. I should have had it open beforehand. There we are. and there I am. There is I. Let's see. Let's go get rid of that. Nope, I don't see any questions. So we haven't missed any questions. All right, that's good. That's a good thing because I like to answer questions. From there, let's take a look at the euro. I did see the euro this morning looking relatively firm. So let's start off with J4X. And I did see it above its daily buy line. So let's see right there. And we're seeing the same thing here in J4X. We got one big green hinky going on, hinky ASCII bar for today. You can see the white line has pierced the dotted, dashed, more like the dashed line. Maybe we should change that to like dot and dashes put together. And then over here on, let's see, where's it at? Right there. Yeah, you see that? It's pushing through, and we are having no problem, and it seems to have come off the bottom end of the range. And I'd imagine as peace breaks out in Europe, when it does, we'll see more strength in the euro. More than likely, you'll see, movement up before the peace breaks out. And then, you know how you buy on rumor, sell on news type of thing, and that'll be the next shoe. But you can see here the blue echo, as I like to call it, on the gas line 3.5. Oh, let's make you see that right there. Here we are. Whoa! I didn't mean to do that. There it is. So right here, you can see when we light it up. See at the bottom. Right in this area here, the gas line 3.5 right there, in the bottom of the weekly chart, right there, a weekly algorithm. You can see here that the blue dashed line took off. Now, see right here, if we had seen that green line start to join in, we would have been like buying everything we could find. I'd be selling cars. In other words, it happens every so often. When you get these two lines, the green and the blue ghost line, what I call the dashed, echo. It's more of an echo, not a ghost line. And it joins in with the histogram and the green line. We get some real strong movement. But right now, this is definitely telling us it's trying. Now, the fact that this has gotten through the bottom end of the manifold here on the negative side and is trying to get plus, and this is trying to get plus, says to me that there's some buyers coming in. So they are obviously buying on the rumor at this point. And the buyers on the rumor are pushing and pushing and pushing, and we'll see how that plays out. If this starts to really turn up, we could get ourselves a nice pop back all the way up to the green line here, the 50 percentile. And we'll show you that same thing that occurred over on the yen and any other product when it does jump out. Matter of fact, the next one that jumps out, we're putting an article into Dukascopy's website. So we're going to show the chart and the movement, and then let the free markets basically do their thing. All right, from there we'll go over to cable. Cable. There it is. Cable's dragging its feet, but it's doing somewhat of the same action here, so that's not too bad. But just nowhere near as powerful. Would have been nice to see this green line turn up really hot and heavy. And you can see here, when they got close to each other and started breaking down together, boy, that's like, watch out. Bang. This is like the propellant. It really ignites it. And you can see the pressure came on. It broke the zero line there, the dashed line. Let's see if we can move this white line over. That's probably why we had it there. We were using it as an example. When it broke that, and they both started to take off bad, break hard down onto the negative side, if you're short, it wasn't bad, it was good. But when they break down that strong, you can see the type of action you get out of it. It really presses it. And so now you can see here, we're just playing with the bottom end of the range right here on the cable. And you can see the daily is trying to lift, but it's still having its issues, nowhere near as strong as the euro. Let's check it out over on J4X. Right there. Same thing. You see it's having a hard time still. We're red, 4 reds in a row on the daily bars, the hinky ASCIIs. Over on Chicago Quant, you can see we have the 3 red dots with a blank, nothing on that one. So they're matching up pretty well. That's a 75% percentile matchup, so that's pretty good right there alone. You can see here it's trying to turn, And you can see here we're doing the same exact thing. It's trying to turn. Now once it gets through that 0 line, it's like when J4X pierces the dashed line. And so that's pretty good stuff. It's trying to show its life. I gotta oil this chair. I'm sure you heard that. I can hear it in the distance on the website that I have up. So I'm making sure everything's, the chat line and so forth. But yeah, I would like to see that occur, and that would be very positive. Right now, all I see is an attempt. And I imagine it's got a lot to do with the Turkey conversation, the Turkey negotiations. Aragon, boy, he's really swinging really well. As in a baseball analogy here in the United States, he is he's doing a good job. He puts on, giving out puts for his currency, and that currency has stalled. It's wonderful. It's not wild and woolly. It's not running up and down like a mad animal. So that's a really positive thing for the population of Turkey. Let's jump over to that, and we'll show you that right there. So President Aragon, who seems to have turned the page when it comes to pressure on the currency. Wow, nice! Look at that. You see the weakness here. We've got what's that? Can't even tell what that is. That's really wild looking. So you got a red, a green, which is so small, and then a red again. So we're seeing, the nice, and you see the white line piercing. So that's piercing the dashed line. That's a very positive sign when it comes to the dollar Turkish lira. And let's take a look at it here, right there. We have one red dot, still playing the top end of its range. This is the top end of the range we've defined way back in here. Since there, it ran up to it, banged against it. We got a red dot forming, and we have our white line piercing. So it's trying to go into the sell on the daily, but that weekly is still holding up. So we'll just watch that action there. Now we jump over to the Euro Turkish lira, which I find to be much more of a good trading product overall. And you can see 4 out of 5 have been red on J4X. A little bounce there, a little surprise, but that's what that is. And I think we were in a sell there at this point. Let me just check. Right. Let's see. Where are you, Turkish lira? Right there. And you can see here we have 5. No, we have 4. We have 5 red dots and 1 green at the beginning, telling us there was some volatility. It did not touch the top end of the range. You can see that one spot right there where it tried. And you can see the weekly has curved right in here and then trying to turn back up again. The daily is trying to turn up. You can see that there just like it is doing on J4X. Right there. Same thing. So you got this turning up here, and you got it turning up right there. That action. So again, the J4X is emulating, it's following our math very well. It's a little bit behind, but it's better than any other tool out there as far as I can tell. Now, Kelly came in about last week, I guess, and he gave us an indicator to pay attention to. So we have it down at the bottom. I don't think I have it set right, but when Kelly comes back, we can have a conversation about that and see how that works. We are looking for any indicator that could help this indicator, these public indicators. And without a doubt, this one here, which we call the Manhattan indicator, is basically very accurate. Makes the MACD look enormously slow. But when you look up, oh, there we go. What do we got there? Kelly, there you are. Maybe you can explain this a little bit more. I think I've got it set up wrong. Let me just make it bigger. Now, this is that indicator you were talking about, and we've been watching it. I've been chasing after it. That's the edit indicator. There it is. And this is that, do we have the right outputs or inputs? This is that ask bid volume indicator you were talking about. Oh, okay, we can do that. Let's go check out that, and then we'll talk about this later. I have no problem. Doc likes to talk, hence the webinar. All right, let's see, where are we going? We're going over to Euro Swiss. That should be a very interesting trade. just because of the way the euro is kind of weak against the dollar, and then the euro is strong against the dollar. So that could be a very interesting look at. I can't wait to get to the chart there. There's Euro GBP. There it is right there, Euro Swiss. You can see there, it's, yep, look at that. Look at that big spike going on there. Right here. What a big spike that is. And it's a full green. You had a volatility the day before with a red and a green. And you can see this is turning up. The, what I call the echo, is definitely that bluish dashed line is up through there with no problem. And now this thing is trying to join in. And if these two get near each other, like the way right here after the zero line, you get stuff like that. Could you imagine a couple of these with a little topping out here and then another shot on the upside going all the way up to the, was that like the 106 area or something like that? How's that look, Kel? And again, I've been looking at that. Was it the ask bid or bid ask volume indicator? And it has some characteristics that are interesting, but I want to get the same settings you have on it so we can, look at it, apples to apples, that type of thing. So when you get time, let's see if we can do that too, okay? Unless you've given up on the indicator. If you've found that the indicator wasn't satisfying enough and you're not using it anymore, then forget about it. We don't need to look at it. If you're still using it and you think it's worth looking at, then let's look at it, okay? That's the way I roll. It's fine with me either way. And while we're doing that, we're going to go over to the Canadian, and we'll let Cal figure that out. Oh, you know what I want to do is I want to look at the Euro Swiss on J4X. Let's do that too. Right there. You see that rocket shot there, and it's got 2 days of green hinkies, just like we have 2 days of green dots right there. And then the first day was a volatility signal at the same time. So you can see there. And we think, here, let me just make that larger. And then we have this indicator down here at the bottom. What's it called? Ask bid volume. There it is. Ask bid volume. The regular setup. So when I go like this and say edit to it, the input, there's nothing there. The output here, do you have like a shift or top tip or value, or is it a 1 here in the width, or I have it as a histogram. Do you have it as lines, or that type of thing? And then what's this? Levels. There's nothing there for levels. And then advancements, show indicator on all periods, or calculate from custom data, or highlight. Any of that stuff there? Let's see. Kel says we have the same on the Euro Swiss. Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. So, now, I think the downs are the yellows and the greens are the ups. I don't know. Are you watching the line more of the volume and then comparing the color here? Is that what that's going on? How do you utilize it? Let me see if we can make this bigger for everybody too, like that. So see all these yellows, they seem to match up with the red there, which is good. But notice this one here where it tops out and you got a lot of red, right? But here, basically from the same spot, you have, I guess you get a yellow, then a couple of greens and a blank, then a yellow and a bunch of greens, and then 2 yellows, and then a green, a blank, a couple more, and then you get this pylon. As it's bottoming, you get 4 or 5. You get 5. Was that 5 out of 3? Is that 1, 2, 3 greens? I'm trying to understand how to read that. Does that make any sense? Is that how you're reading it? It doesn't reflect the move up. That's what the problem is. Like, it doesn't reflect the move down very well, but this does here. It reflects it much better. But this move up, it didn't reflect that, and it didn't really reflect that much of this, unless you're watching the lines. The spike here, you can see how it was moving along. It's selling down. We get a pop one day, but it's been selling down, and this has not been going down that line there. So is the volume the indicator you're watching more than the other two, or just a generality? Should I keep on watching it? I don't see anything particular jumping out at this point. I mean, there are times where it does, like here, this pocket. For some reason, this pocket right there, matched up with. Oh no, it's. I'm sorry, it's this one right here. The 5 reds, and then the 5 out of 6 bars were yellow. That's about it there. I think here too, it jumps into the green, and we have 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 blank, and that catches that little move there. But it's not consistent enough. Where I would have thought, you see all this yellow here, I would have thought it would have been like tons of yellow right there. We'll just see if Kelly has anything to say about it. If not, that's all right. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Remember, we need new ideas. So Kelly came up with something. It's well worth looking at. You got to look at this stuff. That's the way technical analysis is, and you keep on looking at it. It's like I say, in English soccer or football, they don't just show up on Saturday and play, or they don't just show up on Wednesday and play. They are always out there working hard and training. So, that's the way traders are. They have to be always training, and it may be, off market hours and so forth, but you got to be always training, working hard. Let's see. Let's see. What's Kelly says? I read like if the line is going up or down, the indicator. I look at the same consistency in the price moving, but I use more of the stochastic. You mean the Manhattan stochastic that we have, or is there a stochastic in this too? So, okay, so I saw that line. I thought the line was kind of interesting. To confirm price movings. Okay. Yeah. I didn't really get a lot out of it. It's kind of on the level of MACD as far as I'm concerned. So I mean, I agree with you. The stochastics, especially when you're running the fast and the slow against each other, they are so much more accurate. So yeah. Manhattan, okay. All right, so I'm going to get rid of it then. I did find, what though? I did find the line kind of interesting, the dashed line there, I did find that interesting. I thought that was interesting, that at the peak, or in this case the bottom, you got a peak. I thought that was really interesting, and then it told you that the kind of like the trend changed. And let me see, let's scrunch this up a little bit. And like that peak there was a top. When you get these wild peaks, they seem to emphasize something. In this case here, it peaks here pretty dramatically. It has a couple days rest, and then a hard drop. So I agree with you. This line does seem to have some value to it. Yeah, volume in general can be, because volume, if you're not looking at the volume of the derivatives and the volume, and I mean when I say derivatives, the volume of futures contracts with the spot and volume with the options, if you don't watch those volumes, then you're not seeing the true story of volume. Because in the later part of the 20th century and now in the 21st century, option volume is important, and so forth and so on. It's a major factor, and it's not a minor factor. So, that's why you got to marry them together. I totally agree. All right, we'll just leave it like that for the time being, just smaller. That's all. But we'll follow the line, not the colors. That makes more sense to me, because that's the only thing I really saw, is that the peaks. And obviously, maybe if it had spiked down and broken like that low there, that might have been another signal. But no doubt, when you take out this peak with that peak, that's an important spot right there. There's no doubt about it. The volume actually picked up on it, and then this peak here takes out that peak, and what do you get? You get a major bottom out of it. So it's definitely worth watching that indicator on the volume side of it. I agree with you. Let's see. Kelly says, is more easy to have some confirmation on stocks with volume indicators with more confidence. Probably because of the listed option market. You know, the binaries and the options are trading, and so it makes it's related more. You know, I can tell you when I was young and worked at the hedge fund in Connecticut, you know, there's a couple of famous hedge fund guys that, you know, especially on the future side, and they would be they were big traders in oil and gold, and they would announce them on TV. I don't need to use the name anymore, you know, like Tudor Jones and stuff like that, and they would say, oh, you know, and we used to do some execution, not me, but somebody in the office was doing execution for him, and he would be, you know, they'd be like on CNBC or something or Bloomberg saying, oh, and you know, Jones bought 5,000 oil contracts. And then somebody in the office who does his execution would say, "Yeah, but they're not telling us that he just did something like and he bought 5,000 contracts and he bought something like 7,000 puts. So it's a straddle he's putting on, and you know, things like that. I mean, or he sold 5,000 calls and he bought, you know, 5,000 contracts. You know, that type of thing. You don't hear the whole side of it. And that's what the problem with volume is, that they like to tell you about one side of the trade, but they don't tell you about the whole trade. And that's what people think volume represents when it doesn't. So, you know, matter of fact, that might be the title today. You know, volume doesn't represent what people think. And that is really exactly what you're hunting for is, you know, and you can see here when they commingle it with obviously bid versus ask and the volume line. And it does, you can see it. It's pointing out some major spots. There's no doubt about it. Same thing with this. That's an interesting point right there, not further past that one. But it goes up and plays with it, and that's a bottom. And then over here you can see the same thing. That's a top right there. It's a small top, but it's a top, and it takes it down for like 3 weeks. And then like that action doesn't really it tries to give us a bottom here, as you noticed. Let's see if we can do this. I guess if you commingle it with the Manhattan, yeah, like that peak there, down to a certain extent is, I guess it's like right there. It's kind of like the top again. So you're right. This volume, when read correctly, can be very insightful. I like that. I think you're right. But in Forex, harder to have volume confirmation in that area. I always use stock Manhattan with different setups. Yeah. Yeah, I hear it. Stochastic Manhattan. Yeah, I agree. And so I don't blame it. I think it has some validity to it. That's why I didn't get rid of it. You know, I wanted to see how that works. You know, some people, Kelly, you've been talking with me for a while, so you see how we look at stuff. When someone suggests something, we look at it as a research project to go try to discover something. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It doesn't cost anything to try. And that's the most important thing. And I try to emphasize that all the time to everybody. That's why we're really hungry for people to ask questions, because we don't know where the next good idea may come from. You just don't know. So, I mean, you know, we have a couple of sayings on the trading floor back in the old days. You know, a blind squirrel will find a nut. Or a broken clock is right twice a day. So, you know, you might hear from somebody that never seems to be right. But out of nowhere, they may come up with something that makes total sense. So, you know, you can't like go, oh boy, that wasn't good. You can't, you know, there's no way you can ridicule anybody for coming up with an idea and trying to say, hey, look at this. This looks like it could give some insight. So that's why, to me, because it's not doing all we want, doesn't mean that it's not worth looking at. Does that all make sense? Yeah, and trying to collect up data off of currency. Oh, yeah, that's a challenge. And at the same time, currencies trade so well, too. You know, I mean, they do, compared to most of the other products. All right. From there, we're going to jump over to Canada. see what's going on. And Kelly, again, thank you for exploring an idea. I appreciate that. Yeah, for me, I'm looking for some days, the movings with the new indicator to incorporate volume analysis into the trades. Yeah, well, I think you found one. This does have that. It has that ability. It does. Boy, it would be interesting putting a moving average to this volume itself. A moving average of this volume dotted line. That would be very interesting. I could see, like, you could see here, this thing would almost, that the average would be really running up to that peak almost. I can see it in my mind. But yeah, thank you, Kelly, for introducing something. If we don't try, what do they say? Something like, if you don't try, you won't know. We used to say on the trading floors, if you don't bid, you can't buy. If you don't offer, you can't sell. So you got to bid and offer if you're going to make a trade. And same thing with technical analysis. If you don't look at a tool and explore it, how are you going to learn if it's good or bad? If you're changing the internals to it and combining it with something. In this case here, the bid and ask, or the ask and the bid, doesn't seem to help us any. But one thing's for sure, the volume line seems to tell us a lot of times at bottoms and tops in different ways. So in other words, this thing peaks out here and there's a bottom. This thing peaks out right here and that's a top. This thing peaks out right here, it's a top. So there's something there. There's no doubt about it. I agree. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. It would be interesting to see if you could put a moving average to this volume indicator. That would be interesting. So that could be a very insightful. Well, we're trying. Thank you again, Kelly. Thank you. All right, we'll go over there. Remember now, Kelly. Just remember, you have 11 more questions left. Remember, it's cheaper by the dozen around here, and sometimes it's a baker's dozen, so it's 13. I'm always willing to explore an idea. Okay, so there you can see the Canadian's been moving down, and you can see it's kind of firmed up in here for the moment. Kind of interesting. You see that little volume thing tipping up a little bit, and in this case here, it lined up with the bottom here, and this peak here lined up with the top. So it does have there's something there, and you can see this one lined up with this odd, slow meandering move. Anything's possible. This one definitely, let's just make it a little bit tighter. This one almost lines up perfectly with this peak. Yeah, when you use this and this, it can be some good insight. All right, let's get back to Canadian. There's the Canadian there. And let's see what we got going on over here. There it is right there. Canadian is trying to lift up a little bit on our work. You can see it's at the 50 percentile on the chart there, and you can see the blue dashed line here, and the green in histogram. White is real low still, so they may just flirt with this 50 percentile and then maybe make a break. We'll see how this goes. Right now it's just it's barely trying to get into the buy. So you can see here on the J4X, same situation. Is that a green dot there? No green dot. I don't think it's a green dot. What is that? Is that something? I thought I saw something there. I see something there. What is that? Doesn't matter. Anyway, you can see here it's trying. And so Canadian is also trying. At the same time, when we see oil, at a high price, usually Canadian is doing well, and that's what this represents, is the high price of oil right here. And so let's jump over to the oil market. See what it's doing. Here's the back month today, right there. And we'll leave J4X with Canadian, so we can look at the Canadian and talk about the Canadian and the oil market simultaneously. As you can see here, oil has kind of started to roll over right in there. Let's see what else can I say. You can see we went into a sell there, and we're being pressured down. There's no doubt about that. The weekly's got a lot of work to do, a lot of work, and we have to. Maybe I'll have to. I don't like. I like a high number, so in this because of the volatility of it. So kind of wish the super worked. This super doesn't work. It's a 7. Maybe I should turn it into an 8 or something like that. Let's see, 3, 5. That's 2. Yeah, so 7. So I'm gonna have to work on that over the weekend. Get that code fixed better. Let's see. Where else we go? So there's Canadian. With the Canadian, we take a look at gold real quick. Right, where are you, gold? Right there. There it is. You can see gold's doing the same thing. We went into a sell yesterday, and they're still breaking down. In this case here, you can see that the weekly has now started to press underneath. Matter of fact, we can put, where's that little circly thing? Right there. We can put that in there. Again, markets are trying to anticipate possibly a peace situation. So, and we'd be very happy. I'm not a big fan of having to wake up every day and hear about people dying. I mean, more than usual. Let's put it that way. And so that's the action we see in oil, and we see it in gold compared to the Canadian. So what we do now is we drift over to the South African rand, which will throw that up on J4X. Not there. Right. Right. Where are you? You're hiding. There you are. South African rand. And you see all that red, and gold went up to over 2,000, and it really put a charge into it. Yesterday we saw strength kicking out of it. You can see right here. Also, here's something for you, Kel. You can see that right there, a peak, nice size peak. Could be the bottom if we start to get some greens here, and then we'll see how that plays out. Let's take a look at it on. Let's shrink that down a little bit. There we are. And let's go take a look at it on Chicago. And there's the Canadian there, as we talked about. Now let's go over to the South African rand. There we go. I imagine it's up, if not flat, one or the other. No, look at that. It's down. That's surprising me enormously. But we're getting a volatility signal, too. So that's interesting. And we're trying to get through the zero line. Let me just give that a refresh. That's an interesting thing. Let's see, how do we do that? Go right there, and go like that. There you are. Let's give it a 1-day refresh. Yeah. Interesting. I don't know. Normally we would assume, because we're seeing gold go down, that we would see this thing to be up, just like yesterday. And it's not. They're not that fast to throw it away. So again, we might be seeing this whole relaxation away from the dollar. Whereas the euro, you're seeing it. The euro is very firm. The Swiss is not. That's kind of a flight to safety. The dollar is a flight to safety, and we're seeing some weakness in it against other pairs trades. So that's a good sign. Anything's a good sign if we can get more peace in Ukraine. So, all right. From there, we go over to we call it the Baltimore currency now. Right there. Whoa! Check that out. The Baltimore currency. It went into a sell yesterday. Let's just put the yen up there now. Okay, yeah. Looks like they may be starting to get ready to make some trades in it, doesn't it? And let's see it right there too. Yeah. So it's playing with the sell. It gave us the volatility signal yesterday, and we're in that weekly sell. So we kind of think that this is a good sign. We think, we don't have a solid opinion really when it comes to that. We hope that it's a good sign. All right, from there we'll go over to the yen. And that was one of the examples I was mentioning too. There's the yen. It's been on this wonderful run. Oh, look at that. Got a little peak thing going on there. Maybe this is going to become a top. Let's see what it looks like over on Chicago Quant. On the volume, yeah, peak thing. And you can see here we're trying to do the same. Been on that long run in the daily buy since back here on the 8th. Down in the 15-ish area, I guess it was, something like that. What else can we say? And now it's gone to the 124s. And you can see we're getting some pressure here. And you're getting pressure here on J4X. And the volume indicator has given us a spike. So let's make that bigger and see how the spikes work out for this thing. Spike here was the beginning of the bottom of this move. And let's see, let's move this over. Spikes here were a top. Well, this spike here, I guess, was trying to line up with the bottom here. And then this next spike was the top for this move here. But, you know, it's very short-lived, the volume indicator. It says a lot, you know. And we've talked about volume throughout the years. If you don't commingle the binary volume, the option volume, even the futures volume, any derivative at all volume, you know, volume is not, it just is not, it's not as helpful. Volume is not as helpful as we always thought it was. And that's a real, real powerful thing there. I'm going to write this down because I want to use volume today as a title. Let me just do this really quick. I just want to write it on a piece of paper here so I can remember, because in 18 minutes when I'm out of here, I'll be right into trading, and the next thing you know, my brain will go into trader mode. And I'll be like, oh, wait a second, I forgot to put the title out. That's the only good thing about the time change thing. On the previous time change, it gives me an hour between the U.S. markets opening up. Let's see, right there. There we go. All right, we've written it down what we wanted to say. Okay, there we go. All right. From there, we go over to, we've done the yen. You can see that. It's maybe something's going on there. We'll see if they topped out a little bit. Now let's jump over to the last of the currencies we look at, the one from North America. That's our southern border. Since we do Canada, we do Mexican peso. And look at that. Peso go. Yo, yo, yo. Where's our lines at? I think it's banging the bottom end of the range now. Yeah. Oh, look at that. It's trying to turn up there. There's your peak again. Maybe something's going to brew. The last peak kept the sell-off going, and there was the first peak that started it. And this peak here was at the bottom of this move here. I don't know. It's interesting. The peaks themselves and valleys are worth watching out of it all on the volume. Let's see, what do we got right there? And we'll go take a look at the Mexican peso right here. Right there. Yep, they're playing with the bottom end of the range. Just banging away on it. We've been in a sell for this whole, from here, whole move. Or no, I guess there. We went into the sell there, and it's just gone down. We've been in the sell, the weekly sell here, so this move up, you were protected, but you weren't long unless you were trading binaries or options. And, that's this way you don't get stopped out when it gets flipped around. When the weekly and the daily is coordinated together, the success rate is in the mid 80s. But when you try to walk the wild side and just one or the other, it can be wilder. And so you got to do it as a derivative. You got to do it as a binary or an option. That's the only way it's safe enough to trade that way. All right, because you're not seeing this math, I am, and so that's the answer to that. Let's see, what do we got from there? So there's the Mexican peso. We're calling that done. So we leave the currency pairs, unless anybody wants to see another currency pair. And we can go back to them, too, at the same time. Don't worry about that. Now, let's jump over to the metals again. Let's take a look at the metals. And again, if anybody sees something they want to see, or think about something they want to see, go for it. we can be looking at gold or silver or whatever. And at the same time, we can jump right back to whatever you're interested in, be it a pairs trade or whatever. All right, from there, there's gold. And gold is moving down. Second day in a sell. Now we're playing with the weekly. Let's look at silver. Right there. Silver doing the same exact thing. And it's not at the weekly sell yet, but it's getting close. And then let's go check out J4X. There's gold. Same thing, two red hinks and a peak in the volume. And you can see the white line pierced cleanly through the top of this and the top of the range and heading down. Then we go over and see it on the silver side of things. Oh, we've also busted that area we talked about, that 24.55. Yeah. That had been a really good support throughout this whole invasion thing. And it had been a very strong resistance for a long while. And it seems to have taken that out today. And yeah, that's something to be thought about. And you can see here that peak has occurred here with that when it comes to the volume. And what else can we say? Now these peaks here were like that was at a peak down, and then it turned back up again. And then what's this all about? I think you have to watch them take out other lows or other highs. So in other words, in this case here, it starts to take this high out, and then this has a top. But these did not take out, like this didn't take out that high, this one here. This one didn't take out this one here, so forth. It wasn't until this one here that took out the other peaks. And so maybe that's the way of following up. That's the way I'm looking at this product, this indicator. See, so silver's down, gold's down. Let's see what copper's doing this morning, or this afternoon, or this evening, depending on where you are. There is copper. And copper, I know it was flirting. I saw it flirting with something. It was, I think it was still in a sell last I saw it. But that was hours ago. Yeah, now they've gotten through the plus side. And we've got what's interesting is we got a red and a green. So maybe, and this is still in that long run since the last week of December. It's been in this weekly buy now. It doesn't give up. It just keeps on rolling with the homies. Rolling along. Let's see. Nothing else to say about copper. Then from the copper, I can skip the platinum today, but I would imagine it's down. Oh, I'm so curious. I want to see it anyway. All right, let's go see platinum too. There's the April platinum making new lows, taking out all these other lows here on this side of it. And that's where it took out its high, and then this takes out this low here, so we start to think, okay, they're going to try to break down again. And we talked about this last couple days, or trading days that is, that this may, when it was flirting to go into the weekly sell last week, we thought, maybe they're going to go after the 900s again, maybe even lower, maybe the war is going to come to an end. I don't know. Let's hope so. All right. From there, we'll go over to the crude. In this case here, we'll look at Brent. There's Brent on Chicago. I'm sorry, on J4X. You can see right here, the white lines pierced it. That was interesting. This peak here took out that peak. And sure enough, it was the high. This low took out that low, and that was a bottom. And now we peaked out up here, but the volume did not get going at all. And it's just leaking. And then when we look at it over here, let's take a look at here too. Then here's West Texas. And that is, what is that? Let's find West Texas here. Right there. So you can see there's West Texas. It's flirting with the century mark. The back month is under. It's in the 97s. So there's pressure on the oil market here too. Would be nice to see oil fall back into the 80s again. Let's hope. And so one son borrowed his truck and said, I'm trying to rent a truck. I need a truck for his warehouse. And he said, can I use your truck for the day? I'll pay for a full tank of gas. And he only had to, and the truck only had to travel 10 miles or like 15 kilometers. So he filled up the truck with $97 worth of fuel, and used the truck for 15 miles, and that is driving to the warehouse and moving stuff into another warehouse right near his original warehouse. So, as far as he was concerned, $97 in fuel was a bargain, since he was trying to rent a truck and couldn't get it, and he wanted to get it done. So that just shows you the cost of it all. And he felt bad, the other brother. It's like, nah, I really don't want to charge you. He says, no. He says, I'm going to pay my my factory is paying for it, so don't worry about it. And that's how that played out. So he gets a full tank of gas, $100, and then pays him too. So I'm paying you for work also at the same time. You're going to get paid an hour, for every hour you work. So gave him a full tank of gas and I think 6 or 7 hours of work. So that's not too bad. Yeah, so it would be nice to see oils really back off. It would be really good. All right, from there we go over to natural gas. Let's see if that has any weakness in it. Boy, if that did, maybe it would be a sign of some... Yeah, this was 27 yesterday, right? Yeah, this was 27. It's a 26 and change, so that's good. Now let's put it up. Let's see the American gas. We don't have European gas on the Chicago quant, so sad but true. There's natural gas right there. Let's see how that looks. It's tried to go down. At one point it was getting beat up this morning. Now it's got a red and a green. That could be a good sign. And the peak there. Let's see what the American oil looks like in this. Where is it at? Right there. There it is. And it's got a peak there. So that's good. But it didn't take out that high. But it is breaking down. Now it's making a new low. Maybe that's the thing. It broke that low. It would be nice to see this thing back and fill again. Our weather temperatures are going to get better again, I think that's how it's playing itself out. I mean, we went down to below freezing again the last 2 nights, which was a real surprise to me. I was not expecting that at all. All right. Let me see. Where are we at here? I just want to see what the weather looks like, just for the interest of, the gas, and see if it correlates with it. Now today, we're going to be over freezing by about 6-7 degrees, but tomorrow we're going to be over freezing by, I heard big numbers. Not that big. About 12 degrees. Maybe it's the next day. Someone told me it was going to be 20 some odd. 25 or something like that. Yeah. We're going to be 20 degrees over, maybe even 23 degrees over freezing in 2 days. So it's classic. It's the way the weather works. All right, traders. From the natural gas, I guess that's about it when it comes to the energies, and we'll have to see, if there's a change. But maybe, I guess, you wait, you listen, you hope, and they say face-to-face talks. Maybe something will come out of it. Maybe there won't, But it's the classic trader situation. buy on rumor, and sell on news, and that's usually the way it does play out. All right, let's take a quick look at the stock indices, and then we'll call quits for the day. So on J4X, let's put the Tech 100 up there, right there. You can see it's in the 15s now. It's lifting and lifting and lifting. The volume line, not the most insightful, but it kind of topped out there for that, and that wasn't bad. And now we're really, look at this. I don't know if that's something we should be nervous about or what. Look at that. It's coming. Let's make that the whole page for a second. Now, look at the last time it did one of these bottoms on a rally. That's what we want to do, is see what a bottom on a rally looks like. Let's see if we can find anything like that. Bottom on a rally. There's a bottom on a rally like that, and it gave us another run. Remember, this is the end of the month. I got an email from one of the old traders, and older than me, and he was saying something about when there's a fourth Friday in March, they really lift up the market from it. So that's what we may be seeing, is that dollar cost averaging, because 4 days of the week before the first is on Friday, so they could dollar cost average into this all week long, and there could be slow, soft buying, not counting face-to-face talks, And so that's what you see right there, and you see it right here. Chicago Quant just marching and marching up. It's in a weekly buy for, this is the third week, and it's in a daily buy now for like 14 days. All right, from there, what we got from there? Let's go over to the S&P 500. Right there. Same situation at the 46th point now, 4,600. You can see it's trying to lift again. And let's just see what the volume looks like real quick. Yeah, it's going after these lows, so anything's possible here. Could be seeing some. Like I said, I'm hearing that this is dollar cost averaging for the funds for the and because there's a fourth Friday. After the fourth Friday in a month, it can do that. They can, when you have like 4 trading days afterwards. It's some type of stat out of Trader's Almanac or something. And that would make sense for the dollar cost averaging situation. Now, last but not least, let's just look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the grand lady of them all, right there. And you can see it's still marching along. And, same thing with the volume thing right there. And let's see what it looks like over here. Right there. There we go. Making a peak again, And so what we're really seeing is, let's minimize these and we'll tell you what they're up or down. Let's see, where's it at? Right there. So what we're seeing here is the S&P 500 is up 38 points. The NASDAQ 100 is up 162 points on a bunch of downticks, no less. And the Dow Jones Industrial Average is flirting with 300. So they're stepping up and they're starting to do a little more buying in here. All right, traders. This is Doc from North America. Catch you all on the flip side tomorrow. Tomorrow will be Happy to Hump Day, Wednesday. So happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Later, traders.